Good evening. Welcome to our gallery walkthrough session number 8, the last of our two-day gallery walkthroughs. Before we begin, just a few reminders. The audio function will be limited to the moderator and speakers. Type your question in the Q&A box and the moderator will read out your question. For those on Facebook Live, you may type your question in the comments. Click the raise hand icon to ask your question live and the moderator will unmute you for those in the Zoom audience. Good evening again. I'm Tricky Lopak, one of the co-founders of Art Fair Philippines. First, we'd like to acknowledge our co-presenters, Ayala Land, BPI, the Bank of the Philippine Islands, Globe Platinum, our special project partner, Don Paparam, our education partners, the Ateneo Art Gallery, Museum Foundation of the Philippines, and the Embassy of Spain in the Philippines. So quite excited to take you through this last gallery walkthrough. It's been a very exciting addition actually to the fair, meeting our galleries here via Zoom and getting the insights behind the exhibits they put up for Art Fair Philippines. First up, we'd like to call on León Gallery, which first opened its doors in 2010, quickly gaining reputations for specializing in museum quality and historically important Philippine art. It is also a purveyor of meticulously selected Philippine antiques dating from the pre-Spanish period to the 19th century. They have quite an impressive exhibit for Art Fair Philippines. So Celine, please come and join me here so you can tell us more about it.
Hi, thank you, Ms. Tricky. Good evening, everyone. So I'm Selena of León Gallery. And for this year's Art Fair Philippines, we have Fernando Zobel, the 1970s, an homage to Rafael Perez Madero. So to start, so contrary to commonly held belief, the 70s were years of heightened artistic exploration for Fernando Zobel. During this decade, Zobel would create 3 of his 6 series. So they are Alucar, La Vista, and the highly acclaimed Serie Blanca, which emerged from the first 2. Eventually, they would represent his entire pictorial body of work. So just we'll be presenting a short video. It will also feature the curator of the show.
So in a way, the 70s of Zobel, for me, the period of brightness in his mind, he was more free than any other moment of his career. The first idea, obviously, was an homage to our dear Rafa Perez Madero that passed away just before the pandemic. And we wanted not to give only the deserved homage to Rafa, but also to give light to a certain period of Fernando Zobel work that was little known. Rafa was born in Cuenca. We all know how important was Cuenca to Fernando Zobel, and apparently the very good friends in the early beginning. And Fernando Zobel needed somebody like Rafa to support his work. As all the good artists, they always have doubts. Even when you think they are very secure, they have doubts, and this is Rafa was very important for Fernando. There is a painting called The Gas Station, because there was, by the way, it's the Orange painting from 1970s. The gas station, he liked very much to stop on his way to Cuenca because they serve a very good tortilla de patata. So he was a really human personality. You know, he made a homage to a restaurant in the way to Cuenca, but at the same time he was making an homage to Albert Dürer. The show brings us 11 beautiful paintings. The first one was painted in 1970 and it's pure orange. We did that on purpose because we want to show people how advanced was the head of the creator, of the maestro. Fernando Sobel make notes. When you see a note, it's a note regarding some kind of light. When was it finished? When did the painting stop being done? That's fantastic. You can see very clearly in the homage to Igor Stravinsky. No, everything is the fight that it began in the 50s with Sobel between the 3 dimensions and the 3 dimensions. How can you make like 3 dimensions in something plain? So that's basically the cubism. I have Sobel that he knew everything about art. He knew that was the issue. In this painting, you see something as well. You see something round that you, by knowing the title, The Triumph of Caesar, you see that is a wheel, no? This is based on a painting by Mantegna. That's what I was talking about, the freedom of Fernando Sobel. He was, I would say, really a Renaissance creator, in conversation with the Renaissance 15th or 14th century painters. And art is atemporal. This means that a painting by Sobel, which are great, you can place them in a Gothic church and it will look fantastic. So there are links between Renaissance, modern times, Renaissance, Baroque, everything.
Okay, so once you enter the gallery, you are already greeted by Zobel's works, each one unique, emphasizing his imaginative experimentation that defined the 1970s. So among the series that emerged during the 70s was La Vista. To quote Zobel, La Vista is based on the view through my window. When I look at it, I see sorts of things that don't really interest me very much. Houses, roads, colors, birds, etc. What really interests me is finding out the history of a painting. So moving on, aside from La Vista, we also have the El Hucar, in which Zobel notes, I have often worked with issues of color, but always in the abstract. Actually, the starting point is the extremely unusual Hucar River, as it flows through Cuenca, where it displays an array of colors that likes of which I have not seen elsewhere. And lastly, we have the Serie Blanca. Okay. Painting was regarded by Zobel as a distillation, paring down, or a process of removing distractions, evident in his sought-after Serie Blanca series, setting him apart from his contemporaries. He painted landscapes by focusing on its sense of form and underlying structure through abstraction. So some of the works here also have messages written down by Zobel himself, imparting to us a deeper level of understanding of his works, such as this piece. So as you can see, there's a code there, so it's in Spanish. So to directly translate, small homage to Igor Stravinsky, 3 variations in green and ochre, based on a theme by Rembrandt. found in an etching from 1650, begun in Madrid and completed in Cuenca, August 2, 1970. So we also have this book. Oh, sorry. So we also have this book about the exhibit. So it contains valuable insights about Zobel and individuals that have worked closely with him, including Rafael Felix Modeka. So we would like to invite everyone to stop by Gallery International to see the show for Art Fair Philippines 2022. Thank you and see you around.
Thank you, Celine. That was quite a treat. Okay. Next, we would like to call on Modeka. Modeka is an independent artist-led contemporary art gallery, creative space, and art consultancy based in Makati City. Hi, Bubbles.
Hi. Hi, Tricky.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Tricky. Thank you so much for having us. This is our very first entry to Art Fair Philippines 2022. This is a show called Bomba Bastos Baroque, curated by Norman Crisologo, featuring the works of Billy Bagtas, Carlo de Laza, Michael Delmo, Kirk Dehamco, Ian Fabro, Victoria Keith, Dennis Osenya, Bud Omeng, Rando Onya, Puro Milio, Art Tavera, and Franz Focalan. In the absence of Mr. Crisologo, I will be reading his curatorial statement. This show is about religion, society, and folk imagination, mostly a cocktail of three. Though nothing will be handed to you, your own perception and inclinations will be put to the test. What is really happening will depend on your past experiences and, of course, on your current desires. Do you believe everything Father says? Is there pleasure in pain? Do pigs fly backwards over China? Important things to consider and to feel as you view the works. What comes to mind when you hear the word bomba? What makes you feel bastos? And can you be, act, speak Baroque? If you know the answers to these questions, then please tell me. We all want to know. We have a short video presentation for you.
Thank you, Bubbles. Thank you, Modeka. That's as far as we can get from Fernando Zobel, the opposite end of the spectrum, but just as interesting, I think. We have more from Modeka? Okay, so we'll just come back to you for the question and answer portion then. Okay, now I'd like to call Jolene from Yavuz, a gallery established in Singapore in 2010 and in Sydney in 2019. Yavuz Gallery is one of the leading contemporary galleries in the Asia Pacific, supported by an ambitious exhibition and international art fair program committed to providing artists with a global platform.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Thank you everyone for having us also. We'd just like to share a short presentation of our exhibitions.
Welcome to Yavuz Gallery's curated group exhibition for this year's Art Fair Philippines, titled A Surface Catching Light. The exhibition examines and challenges the concept of color and materiality as seen in each artist's practice and process. We see how color is transformed from pigments to images, as seen in this work by Yoka, featuring her signature bright pastel palette on a shaped canvas, titled Kids Are the Future. In Access to Vivid, Neil de la Cruz pushes paint not as mere pigment, but as a significant element in creating his layers of abstraction. For Alvin Villaruel's work, titled Every Membrane is a Universe, the artist created an illusory alternating line color painting using oil paint. Over here, we have Nino Ilarde's series of works titled Faux Stasis, made of oil and acrylic on wood. For this collaged work, the artist used discards of dried acrylic paint from an artist's palette. Next, we have Raz Oriente, who combines photography with new media using a photographic image as her subject. For this work in particular, she used packing materials for artworks and translated them onto acrylic sheets through UV printing. Here we have Aika Go, who is known for her oil-on-canvas paintings depicting torn and crumpled paper sculptures. Lastly, we have Juan Alcazaran's work titled Non-Slip Collage, which presents the artist's practice in exhibiting his mastery of combining any medium into multiple stunning variations. The series he framed collages made of plastic, paper, and board.
Running alongside also our AFP presentation is a solo exhibition by Isabel and Alfredo Aquilizan titled Provisions. The exhibition signifies a new community-based practice, showcased in their home where the artists are currently based. Touching on themes of refuge and protection, Provisions reflect on the immense changes in global movement and experiences of social interaction, communication, and identity over the past 2 years. Continuing the artist's engagement, which also highlights the broad range of media the artist's work as seen in the world's Inamorata. It's composed of old globes, various sizes, that the artist have collected through the years. This is the Inamorata series. It's an old work that they have reworked, wherein they showed they used knit jumpers, sweaters, for females. So, called, which is a pair rendered in a rust finish, punctured and weighed down with sticks.
Signifies a new juncture in the artist's community-based practice.
And with various anting-antings or amulets that is believed to offer protection to the bearer. The artists actually collaborated with artisans who make the crowns for religious sculptures or the santos. This latest iteration of Left Doing engages with the community in the small town of Magdalena, Laguna. And each sculptural work is actually very site-specific, changing in shape based on the location in which it is located. Incorporating distinct farming tools produced within the region, the body of work amplifies local knowledge and the artist's engagement with the ecologies of art and the community. Provisions seeks to highlight relocation through collaboration, with communities in transnational spaces, continuing the artist's investigation on how we can co-create a subsistent and reciprocal exchange in narratives and stories of communities, and ultimately of making art. Thank you.
Thanks, Julene. Okay, I think I preempted Modeka and cut them, but let's get back to them after we go to cyberspace with Cyberbat. Is Ameni here? Hi, Ameni.
Okay, right. Hi.
Hello. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I'm unfortunately wasn't able to share a video about us today, and a part of it is because we are actually not a physical space, but kind of like a digital, not even a space actually. Cyberbat is a collective of African artists. We are like this on-chain collective called a DAO, which is basically a collective of artists that aim to increase representation of people from African descent in the NFT space. This is our second art fair. We were in Art Dubai earlier this month. And yeah, so the dynamic is a little bit different because obviously we don't have a physical space. We just made ourselves a digital space on Arium for Art Dubai. And we are looking to expand both in the metaverse as well as in like the physical space. But yeah, so we work on like a project-to-project basis. We're made up of around 30 artists, and today we presented this exhibit called I See Red, and it's about the color red in different contexts. And it's not just in different cultural contexts, but in different identity contexts as well. So yeah, this is a little bit about Cyberbot. If you have any questions for us, feel free to ask me. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Amani. Okay, we urge everybody to please check out the website page of Cyberbat in the Art Fair Philippines website, and you see the NFTs they have of African artists in the metaverse. Quite an exciting addition to Art Fair Philippines. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, there you go. As Amani said, the color red is really the unifying factor in all of these NFTs. And just like in our other NFT galleries, when you click on the artwork, it leads you to Cyberbat's marketplace. Okay, there you go. Yes, Amani.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that like basically when you look into the artworks that we've presented, make sure you read the descriptions as well as like look at the works, because basically the way we've curated this exhibit is by asking artists what does the color red mean to them. So you get to see the artworks, but as well you get to like read the descriptions of the works and kind of learn about like the meaning behind the works themselves, as well as the artist's interpretation in regards to the meaning of the color. So I thought it was like interesting to look into both, and you can, you know, read more about it and have a better feel of what this exhibit is actually about.
Thank you so much. Okay, there's a question for you already, so we'll get back to that in the Q&A portion. But first, let me call back the Modeka team. So sorry I cut you off prematurely. We'd
No
love to
worries.
have a live presentation, a live walkthrough of your exhibition.
No worries. We'll keep this quick. Okay, so over here is a work by Curomilio entitled Twisted Tongues, which is an oil and canvas work. This is actually a visual representation of her own tribulations when it comes to words having power over people. And then over here, this is a piece by Carlo de Laza entitled Burned by Desire, made of resin. Burdened by Desire is the artist's modern take of the classic odalisque theme, often portrayed as a reclining female figure. Odalisques were often portrayed as women as sexual objects, or puts the female sexuality under bad light. Okay. And then next is Victoria Keats' works entitled Samson and Delilah and Sayaw ni Salome, which are oil and canvas. Biblical femme fatale are portrayed as independent, self-aware, sexually autonomous, ambitious, and deadly villains, signifying the male anxiety that blossomed in a deep patriarchal and religious state where women were told to be virtuous and compliant in accordance to scripture. And over here is this massive and beautiful piece by Franz Bocalan entitled A Unicorn Came to the Barrens, which is made of mixed media on canvas. Nana's works were noted for expressive marks and textures intensified by dripping and layering prints. His oeuvre shows juvenile or teenage sexual fantasies as a mirror of a person's limitless imagination. And then here we have 6 massive works by Art Tavera. Art Tavera's oeuvre consists of performative mutating shapes into dense and ambiguous arrangements. Layer upon layer of marks, reworked, erased with impulsiveness, energy like graffiti. It is a play of both destruction and creation. And this stunning piece is by Rando Onya, who is a man of very few words. This is a piece made of acrylic on canvas. And you will note that he actually burnt some parts of the canvas to give it that 3D effect. This is actually his a visual representation of the folklore Manananggal. And here is a piece by Ian Fabro entitled Up the Ladder I Dreamt, In Ascendance I Kissed. This is made of biro, staple wires, and pins. Ian's pen and ink drawings and collages, the entire frames are usurped by a host of tragic figures, emaciated bodies, contorted limbs, screaming faces, and skinned carcasses. And then here, these two are works by 21-year-old artist Dennis Osenia from Bacolod, entitled Mercury, Apocalypsis, Chrono, Pulse of Maggots, Charcoal, and Made of Charcoal on Paper. Dennis uses charcoal and oil paint as his primary media in painting, while simultaneously experimenting and exploring other media. His concepts also involve his observations, insights, unexplainable thoughts, dreams, music, religion, and inner voices. This is the Apocalypsis, and these three works are by Bud Omeng, entitled Tales of Antiquity, Last Breath, Glass Half, and Glass Half Full. What inspires Bud Omeng is everything around him, the natural balances of things. He appreciates contrast, beauty and ugliness, holiness and abomination, the saint and the thief. And if you go with us upstairs, this triptych called Dum Dum is by Michael Delmo, reflecting on the 500 years of colonization, had Michael Delmo searching for a more concrete sense of identity, and has been a struggle for the artist. And this is a piece by Billy Bagtas, which is called Loob, an oil on canvas work. Billy's works tell stories of biblical femme fatale set in the colonial past. They allude to and subvert political, social, and entrepreneurial structures of power in place at a time. And here is another piece by Dennis Osenia. And in our glass box, we have the works of Kirk DeHamco and also the final piece of Dennis Osenia called Pulse of Maggots. Kirk's works, which are entitled Untitled 1 to 5, are oil on canvas works, wherein he contemplates the human condition by making use of images that portray the subject in thought, ecstasy, conflict, or surrender, thus transforming them into ordinary human beings. That's it for us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bubbles.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we can go to our question and answer portion. First, let me read off a question from the audience, from Brooke Getachew. For Cyberbat, how long have you been in this space? What are your plans for the future, and what are you doing now?
Muted. Sorry. We've been on this space since, I believe, the summer of 2021. Cyberbat started actually, it was founded by Linda Zunia, and it started off with exhibitions happening in Senegal, and slowly it kind of like grew and started bringing in more artists and more people in the operations group. So now we've expanded to around 30 people, 30 artists, and then 10 people within like the operations team. So we've been active since then, and our plans for the future is to obviously grow more, both digitally as well as physically, like in physical spaces. So like, for example, we're going to be a part of NFC Lisbon early April. And we're working towards more collaborations with different institutions, with different organizations and art fairs and artists. So stay tuned for all of those new projects coming up. And yeah, currently we're finalizing NFC Lisbon. We're thinking about ways to grow in terms of like the artists that we bring in. We also are working towards creating a zine. Yeah, like that answers the questions.
Yeah, you guys sound so busy, but very
Yeah,
exciting.
we're constantly like it's really all over the place. Like even when we have our meetings, it's clear that like there's just so much happening that our meetings sometimes like take a couple of hours, especially because now we're really trying to expand and collaborate with as many people as we can. And obviously it's about like trying to find projects that we can do that are very in line with who we are and like what kind of impact we want to have on the space. So there's definitely a lot of activity, a lot of discussions, and also like you know, because we're trying to be as autonomous as we can, there's also the issue of funding and trying to figure that out. So yeah, like it's there's a lot happening, and we're growing at a very rapid rate, and I'm very excited for what we have in store for the space.
Okay, there's another question, but before I ask the next question, actually I'll ask you guys a question, and while you think about it, I will answer the question about when are the galleries open. Do we have to call ahead of time to get in touch with all of you? For all of you guys here, can you name me a favorite piece from the current exhibitions that you're showing for Art Fair Philippines? So while you're thinking about it, I will answer the question, when are the galleries open? If you check out the Art Fair Philippines website, each of the galleries there have set an appointment buttons, and they're all the complete contact details. So it might be easier for the visitor who asked this question to check out the website, look at the addresses of the galleries, look at their contact details, and you can contact them directly through the web pages in the Art Fair Philippines website. Okay, so maybe Bubbles, because you're like first in my screen. Favorite piece from your exhibition and why?
Well, I have actually, unfortunately, since we joined Art Fair, I haven't really been able to go around, but I did go to the special exhibition, and I particularly like the works of Bjorn Calleja. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. I really loved his works. I've always been a fan, and I admire how he's also managed to transition into the world of NFT. And I always enjoy his works. So yeah, that one, and of course Ace Ong's installation. Just a little side note: one part of her installation is actually a piece that she showed with us at Modeka. So she was able to integrate that into the installation.
Oh. Sorry, what about in your own exhibition? What's a favorite piece in the exhibition you took us through?
Okay, I have to say all the works, I'm really happy that Norman said yes to us. But the works of Dennis Osenia really struck me the most. His technique with charcoal on paper is just so stunning, and he's so young. He's only 21, and you guys should watch out for him. He's definitely a gem. And of course, the piece of Rando Onya. I know, Tricky, you like that piece.
Yes, I do.
Really, I was really floored by that piece as well.
Okay, Celine, can you choose from among those masterpieces around you?
Yes, everything's just breathtaking and beautiful, but if I really had to pick one, maybe the one where there's a message from Zobel. So the homage to Stravinsky. So yeah, just to show her book. So the piece is also there. So the piece shows how Zobel really utilized art history, not only for inspiration, but also as a way of informing us of his process. So this also effectively shows how Zobel evolved artistically from his earlier Serie Negra and Saita series. And this evolution is what the exhibit is all about, showing how, as Adolfo mentioned in his video earlier, how Zobel's mind worked.
Okay, thanks. Jeline.
Okay. Well, I love the works from our show. But I guess like speaks to me most is the one of Aiko. I love it work, and I like how your paper pictures are translated into um yeah, I love her process. So there.
What about you, Alemi? Anything among the works in your page that stands out in particular for you?
Sorry, did you say Amani?
Yes.
Did you say my name? Yeah, sorry. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my favorite piece is definitely Serge Anide's work. I think it's really, really interesting because he not only answers the prompt in a very interesting way, like looking into the significance of red, the color red in his culture, and in a specific cultural context within his culture. But then also the symbolism behind his work is absolutely incredible and so insightful on, you know, the place of women in his society, and the importance of spirituality, and it's just like very fascinating. Like there's just so much to unpack in his work.
Okay, there's another question here. You might want to take it on about the NFTs and the environment. It's been a question that was even asked a lot last year when we featured NFTs. I have my answer, but you might have your own.
Well, I mean, it is a valid question, and it contributes a lot to the debate. But I'd say that, well, first of all, there are blockchains that are very low in consumption of energy, like the Tesla's blockchain, for example. And a lot of our artists actually are on the Tesla's blockchain, and that's the blockchain that they prefer. But then there's also the fact that like even blockchains like Ethereum are planning on reducing their carbon emissions, and there is this level of awareness that you know, this is an important question. But I definitely feel that it will improve, just like any other invention in the world that has been, you know, high in pollution, like the use of what do you call it? Yeah, carbon, for example, like carbon emissions.
Carbon footprint.
Now we moved into different ways of consuming energy, and I feel like it's going to be the same with NFTs. Like the blockchains are going to develop, and it would be much less using much less energy, and obviously like also there's different options today as well. So yeah, that's my.
Okay, we have a question from Christine Deldig. I want to pose a question concerning a previous piece of art that depicted a naked girl with a snake on it. I believe this was one of your pieces, Bubbles.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Sorry, was she raising her hand, Danny? Would you like to ask the question live?
Hi, everyone. Yes, from Christine, just as Tricky mentioned a while ago, she mentioned, I'd want to pose a question concerning a previous piece of art that depicted a naked girl with a snake on it.
Yes. So what was the question? Do we ask her to come up on stage so she can ask her question live?
May I ask if who's the artist of it?
Oh, okay. This piece is by Kuromilio.
You might
So
want to
this is-
spell that, Bubbles. Pu?
Kuromilio, that's Ku, Romilio, ROMILLO. It's actually not a snake coming out of her mouth. It's a branch, basically, that represents her words. And this is actually a self-portrait, which Ku is known for.
Okay, thank you. Does that
Thank
answer
you
your
so
question,
much.
Christine? Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, no more questions. I just like to say thank you everybody for joining us, for all the galleries who joined us for this walkthrough tonight. Really interesting session. Thank you so much. And we'd like to remind the audience to please check out, if you can visit the galleries live, go to them, or please check out their gallery pages and the Art Fair Philippines website. Art Fair Philippines is on until April 1. There's a lot to see, there's a lot to appreciate, so don't miss your chance. So thanks again. Okay, and I know that Danny and Therese will remind me that we need to take a photo. So at their signal, please, oh, wait, sorry, are there more questions? May I know? Okay, sorry, let's go back. From Brooke Getachew, again, I guess it's for you, Cyberbat. How can artists join your DAO? What about the fundraiser for Cyberbat? And how have NFTs influenced your work as a curator?
All right, Brooke is on fire today, I guess. Well, first things first, we don't have an application open yet. Like, we don't take artists at the moment, but we will be soon. So if anyone is interested in joining us, if anyone has, like the profile is from an African descent and is interested in joining us, then do follow us on Twitter and on Discord, because we will be putting out an application soon for a new open call for artists. The second question was, sorry, what was the second question?
Okay, sorry, it's about the DAO and then the fundraiser.
Oh, I think it was fundraiser. Yeah,
yes.
Right. So, well, with the fundraiser, so 6 artists donated their works, and no, actually more than 6 artists. But yeah, the artists from our DAO donated their works to be sold, and basically the money we get from the fundraiser would be used entirely for our initiatives at Cyberbot. So actually the fundraiser is still going on until today. If you're interested in seeing some of our works, I can link it to the chat box. And then finally, I guess when it comes to curation and how it influenced, like NFTs have influenced my curation, I think it didn't really influence it that much, because I do regard NFT art to be just like physical art. So like I'll look at subject matters and I'll look at mediums and I'll kind of still curate the same way. So I don't think there's much of a difference. In fact, like I am a firm believer that NFT art is an extension of traditional art. So yeah, like I don't think it just kind of enriched my experience as a curator even further, which I really appreciate. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Okay, let's just time for one more question. Another anonymous attendee. It's about NFTs again, so it's for you again, Ameni. Can NFTs give back value to Mother Earth at the rate of its consumption? What are the unknown dangers to artists working with digital art? And Brooke has kindly posted your Twitter account. So I guess people will be asking you questions after we wrap up. Okay, but yes.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the Mother Earth question again?
Okay, can NFTs give back value to Mother Earth at the rate of its consumption? And the second question is, what are the unknown dangers to the artists working with digital art?
I mean, it's like at the end of the day, if it I am okay. How do I respond to the first one? Because I feel like it's not necessarily a question that can be answered, right? Like NFTs as we know it today, okay, fine, it does consume a lot, but it is developing to consuming less, and then like by the rate that we're going, like even if it consumed less, it's not going to add like heal the earth in any way, because at the end of the day it's still a product like anything else. But what can help, I guess, environmentalism is just the people within the space that are making effort to counteract like counteract the consumption, or like try to do better through different movements. And there are some NFT groups out there that are very eco-conscious and in trying to be aware of these things and try to make conversation. But I don't think the question is fair, because it's like saying, oh, for those who consume electricity, what are they doing to improve Mother Earth? Like, it doesn't make any sense, like the way the question, like the logic of the question. And then the second question, second part of it,
what are the unknown dangers to the artists working with digital art?
I wouldn't think, I can't think of any dangers apart from the fact that crypto is banned in certain countries, so they might be in danger in that sense that it is a legal activity. But otherwise, I think that the NFT space is a very positive space for people to start up, especially because the traditional art world, I think, is very much gate kept, and people don't have access to it as much as they would like to. So being able to be a part of a space that is open, that is welcoming, that, you know, welcomes people from all backgrounds. You can be a very professional artist that has worked in the art world for multiple years, just like you can be someone who literally learned how to draw like 2 years ago, and still be able to like communicate and build off of each other and develop, you know, your skills and network and make something out of yourself. Because the premise of the NFT space is that everyone is equal, even though in this, like in Web3 in general, it's not necessarily the case, but that's the premise of it. And most of the time it works. Like even us as a collective, I mean, we all come from different backgrounds. We all are in different stages in our careers, and yet we're all here like supporting each other in different ways. So I haven't seen anyone go through a hard time because of NFTs. I think most of us are, you know, doing what we can, and most of us feel that our experiences have enriched us in one way or another, unless you know, you're putting a lot of money on gas fees and you're not selling anything, and you know, you're not even like connecting with the community, so you feel like you're not gaining anything from the space. Usually that's not the case. Like you're learning with other people and you're developing with other people, and there is something good, I feel like, that comes out of being in this space. But that's just, I guess, my perspective. So
Okay, we can go on and on about that. For
yes.
someone who's actually kind of gotten who's touched base with the digital artist base in the Philippines last year, because last year the fair focused on digital art, I can say that I think the struggles of a digital artist is very similar to the struggle of any artist working in any medium. But okay, on that note, let's end today's session and let's get to our photo. Yes, Therese and Danny, you do the
Okay.
count. Okay.
Yes, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. One more. 1, 2, 3, smile. Oh. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. Ameni, we really put you to work tonight. Sorry about that, but I think that just goes to show how interested the Filipino audience is with the works you're showing. Bubbles, Celine, Jeline, thank you so much. I mean, loved your shows. I was lucky enough to have seen them all live. So yeah, I mean, I encourage everyone to please take the time to go out and see the shows live too. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Tricky. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So before we close again, a shout out to our biggest supporters, Ayala Land, BPI, the Bank of the Philippine Islands, Globe Platinum, and our special project partner, Don Paparam. Our education partners, the Ateneo Art Gallery, the Museum Foundation of the Philippines, and the Embassy of Spain in the Philippines. And please tune in tomorrow for the first of our regular talks program. We will have an exciting set of conversations on clay, the segment one of which will be basic pottery and basic wheel throwing. This is at 10 a.m. tomorrow. For those who haven't registered, please do. Thank you again.